G'day, I'm Gavin from HurleysFlyFishing. We specialise in guided tours throughout Victoria, but we also take groups to Alaska, Chile, bone fishing Christmas Island, and our most popular one, New Zealand. So if that's where you want to go, come in and see us at our stores in Bentley and Lumsden.
It gets to the point when it's windy and buggery and the rain's a bit cold and you go, I really don't want to be here anymore. And tomorrow we're going to head off to Lake Hamilton, and hopefully the weather's going to be a bit better. You never know, there's quite a few browns and rainbows stocked there as well. So sometimes it's time to pull the pin and warm up a bit, because when you can't feel the line through your fingers, you know you've almost about had enough. So we might go and see how Lake Hamilton goes, somewhere a little bit warmer.
Today we're up in Hamilton in Western Victoria. It's about 3 hours from Melbourne on Lake Hamilton. It's an amazing fishery that's stocked pretty regularly with browns and rainbows, and it also has a pretty good supply of redfin in here as well, which are a terrific eating fish. It's pretty cool being right almost in the heart of the town itself and having fishing literally on your doorstep. We're here, it's in the morning now, and it's quite a shallow lake with pretty good weed beds. So we're concentrating around the edges now because it's a little bit overcast. The fish are pretty confident coming into that shallow water around the edges. So we're using two flies. We've got a magoo with an orange bead head, followed by like a trailing nymph as well. We'll fish this on an intermediate line, so it's just under that surface, and drag that around. And hopefully we can pick up a brown or a rainbow right on the edge here. You get some pretty good dun hatches at times as well on Lake Hamilton, so it's got a little bit of everything in it, but we'll work our way along here to start with, and there could be even fish out through the middle, because again it's quite shallow through most of it, and you can bring a lot of fish up there as well. The Grange Burn, the actual original riverbed, is through the middle of that as well, so as that sun gets higher we might look to fish a lot of the deeper sections as well. But it's a pretty cool lake, you know, where there's, you know, you've got people rowing, you know, in the mornings, and skiing as well. So yeah, caters for, there's something in it for everybody, I think, as well. So it's a pretty good lake, but we just need to get a fish on the end of this line. And when you do come to a lake, it can be a little bit daunting, because there looks to be a lot of nothingness out there and a lot of sameness, but you've got to actually break it down. So something like a pier, even in fresh water, is going to hold or attract some fish anyway. In a lake like this, you're going to get a lot of damsels and mud eyes, you know, hatching into dragonflies, and they need like wooden structure like that to climb up and hatch out. So that's, obviously there's a lot of food there, it's going to have a lot of fish as well. Same with a lot of these weed beds. Will be plenty of nymphs and damsels and mud eyes, and they'll be crawling all along here. And the fish know that, and they're going to hang around these areas. So even if you get to somewhere and you can't see a fish, you get to a lake and you can't see a fish, and all of a sudden you go, I don't know where to start. Well, have a look around, look for depth, look for structure like that that's going to hold the bait the fish are going to eat, and that's where you're going to put a lot of your casts in. Now, it might not happen, you know, immediately, but concentrate your casts around that area. Use flies that you would imagine would be moving around this time of the year, and with a bit of luck, you'll come up tight with a nice big fish. Now that's a damsel nymph, and any of these shallow lakes like Lake Hamilton or Wendouree, they just harbour a million of those little damsel nymphs, and they turn into a flying insect, which is a damselfly. And you'll see those in either bright blue or sort of red, brown and that sort of stuff. And essentially they're a smaller version of a dragonfly, but the trout eat those as a larvae so often. So that's why we put on what we call like a magoo, and it just imitates that perfectly. Yep, there we go. We've yeah, finally got one here. We didn't feel like a monster, this one, but she's been pretty hard going. We had to go in the morning and wasn't too much sort of going on, and then we've just got one to get here. We've to take now. Oh, he's only a little one, but what is he? A little rainbow. But we've tried quite a few different things while the camera was off, and a lot of different flies as well. And we've opted for like a bright pink woolly bugger, as you can probably see in his mouth there. And there's just been a little bit of traffic here with jet skis and things like that, so it's churned up the water a little bit. So we've gone for something a little brighter and on a sinking line to get down, because the fish are not sitting up the top. Hang on, mate, I'll be over soon. That's a nice little rainbow that are released here pretty frequently, you know, and it makes great fun, you know, for kids and big kids to come down and catch these as well. So we'll just get that one out, and I'll just release him. All right, just one sec, I'll get him back in. And the thing just to hold him up in the water for a second. Oh, and he's good to go until they can swim out of your hand, and then you know they're going to be right to go. So that's which you may not have seen, a bit of persisting with. We started had a floating line, then swapped to an intermediate to get down, and then now I've gone to a fast sinker, because it's the fish haven't been in the shallows, and we found well that one in particular just near a drop off where the original Grange burn flows through. And if you find there's a bit of boat traffic around, or if it's quite hot or sunny, that they'll get into that deeper water where they feel more confident, and probably cooler water, which is better for them as well. But the lovely pink woolly bugger brought him undone, so it's worth trying. I mean, that's not going to look like any bit of food. There'd be nothing, funny enough, that's pink that swims around, but they haven't got any hands to grab hold of it and have a look. So he'll put that in his mouth and have a bit of munch, realise it's not food, but it's too late then, because I've already tightened that line and struck. But gives you a little bit of hope for the next cast. You know, once you've had a few, you can get a bit despondent, but you just got to persist, because you never know. You're always just one cast away from that fish of a lifetime. Well, the sun's starting to get a little bit lower now, but it's still not firing. It might come good in the last probably half an hour, but we're going to pull the pin because it doesn't seem that exciting at the minute. But the beauty of Western Victoria is there's so many other opportunities. We're going to head towards Lake Fynes, right in the heart of the Grampians tomorrow, and that's a completely different fishery again. There's also Wartook, you've got Lake Tolondo, Kanongwatong out near Coleraine, so there's a load of other opportunities that you can take once you get down to this area. So if something's not firing, just give the other ones a go, and you never know what you can come up with.